So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And coming back again with another quite interesting link as well. So, Unai Emery and Aston Villa have been linked with Jesus Rodriguez of Real Betis. Betis being a team based in Seville. Obviously, we know that Monchi is somebody who's come to us from Seville, and we know that Unai Emery's ties to that city as well. Jesus Rodriguez, born and bred in Seville and playing for Betis as well. I thought this was an interesting link because we were linked with this person prior to them ever even making their senior debut. There was a tentative, spurious link to between Aston Villa and Jesus Rodriguez in August of this year, which never came to anything. And at that time, Jesus Rodriguez was actually playing for Real Betis B's team in the third division of Spanish football. And since then, he actually played 7 games at the start of the season in that league. And since then, he's been thrust into the limelight because he's made his professional debut, or his senior debut, should I say, for Betis. And he's become a key player for them throughout the course of this year because of one or two particular attributes that he excels in massively. And while he's not the full article, or he's not the rounded article yet, he's a really interesting study. I've taken my time to watch a couple of his games prior to doing this, but a lot of you guys will be familiar with him probably for his cameo appearance against Chelsea in the Conference League final. So you may have seen there, and you know, if you go back and you watch his games, you're going to see that he's a true example of, you know, raw talent with huge potential. And we're going to take a little look at what maybe makes him special, what Unai has seen, you know, his strengths, his weaknesses, and, you know, if he does sign for Aston Villa, where he may be deployed in his career while it's so much so in its infancy, even at this moment in time. So let's start, I suppose, really with the basics about this guy. He's a tall winger, about 6 foot, I think. That's what he looks like on tape as well. And that height combined with his long stride, it makes him a really explosive runner. He's not only explosive, but he's also really quick. You get him into open spaces and transitions, or you get him dribbling with the ball at his feet in one-on-one situations, and he's absolutely lightning quick. And I think Aston Villa lack an awful lot of speed. So something like that, or a player like that, would be really well received, I think, down B6 as well. He's kind of like that player who will leave defenders in their dust. If he gets a player turned, you know, you'll be doing really well to catch him in pace-wise again, if you have to turn around and to try and bear down on him. He's exceptionally quick. I read an article whereby he was likened to Gareth Bale, that type of powerful, direct running and a kind of a relentless motor. I hate making comparisons like that because obviously we know how good Gareth Bale was, and I don't want to be putting any pressure on the guy, but I can see Gareth Bale was a taller type winger. He was very direct, very explosive type runner, and you know, he was very good in both areas of both defense and in attack. And I've seen that aspect of this player as well in Jesus Rodriguez. And before anybody puts it in the comments, I am not comparing him to Gareth Bale. I just read an article that did that. So make of that what you will. So yeah, his main attribute when you watch him is going to be his pace. Like, he's really fast, and not just in a quick, nippy way, but we're talking sprinter speed here. This guy is grease off a pan fast. As I said before, it allows him to thrive in open spaces and transitions. You know, he can accelerate past opponents. He creates chaos in that flank. He will. I could see him, even if he was a cameo player in the last 20 minutes of a game, his pace would obviously stretch the field, but he would need double teaming even in senior football. And I've seen that happen in La Liga currently because his pace is he's been so lightning faster. When he's come off the bench, teams have had to almost devote a spy in midfield to help the right back to deal with that pace. Or what they've done is they've really just kind of pulled their defense backwards, maybe 5 feet, to look after his pace, because it's exceptionally quick as well. as I said before, he was prolific in the third division when he was playing with Betis B. Since he's moved up to the senior ranks, he's had 32 appearances across all competitions, nearly 1,800 minutes in all competitions this season, and he scored 2 goals. So he's had to find his feet. He's been thrown in at the deep end, but Betis have been absolutely ecstatic with his performances so far, and a lot of La Liga has stood up and taken notice of him because he has that real road runner, take the ball, burst past players, and draw foul ability that you want in players. Specifically that you want in wingers, and I think that Aston Villa as a team needs, because we need to diversify in our ball carrying ability. We're going to show a slide in a moment which will show you, who the main ball carriers I think for Aston Villa will be. And, outside of Jacob Ramsey, who we know is a good carrier of the ball, and Morgan Rogers, we don't really have that other player that can come in and do it. So if either of those two players don't start, and obviously if we're playing Morgan Rogers on the right-hand side, which hasn't been as effective this season, we need to have players who can come in and be that other outlet, specifically for carrying the ball as well. So let's take a little look at Jesus Rodriguez as my mouse fails and is not working. So, as I mentioned there, he's about 6 foot. He's right-footed. He is 19 years of age. He won't be 20 until November. When you're looking at the statistics here, they're not going to jump off the page because you'll see an awful lot of those statistics are low. As we always say on this podcast, you don't scout people off numbers. If you do, you're losing all the context based on those numbers. This guy is being asked to be a dribble merchant and to do what he does best and to put fear into fullbacks, and he's done that. What the biggest part that I've taken from a lot of the statistics that I've looked at with regards to Rodriguez is then when I've gone and I've looked, the areas that he's excelled in, obviously the amounts of dribbles that he's had, the pace that he shows, but more so his defensive statistics that you can see above there, they do jump off the screen when you watch him. He is good at defending. He knows he is to be good at defending. And he comes across as this real diligent, hard-working, high-pressing, good attitude guy when he's on the field. He will come back and he will tackle in that midfield third. And he will then try and turn over that ball and get that ball going forward. So what you see there from a defensive side of things does ring true on the field. The main thing I wanted to talk about with regards to Rodriguez is when we look at him here in comparison to seasoned members of our team, Morgan Rogers, Leon Bailey, Jacob Ramsey. And the reason I've put him in with those guys, the reason I've left out Rashford, the reason I've left out Malin is sample size, realistically. And plus Rashford most likely won't be with us next year. The reason I haven't put John McGinn in there is because, once again, John McGinn has been tasked with doing different jobs throughout the course of the whole season, so it waters down his numbers. But what we can see here is that he actually stacks up pretty well in comparison to a lot of the players that we have currently. He's a better shot on target ratio. His pass completion percentage comes in and around the same as Morgan Rogers or Leon Bailey, just below Jacob Ramsey. Jacob Ramsey had a really successful dribble rate. Actually, it was crazy good, to be honest with you, over the course of last year. But the successful dribble percentages for me is it's a fraud statistic, which I won't go into. But realistically, when you see him on the field, when he gets past players, the whole defending team does get a bit itchy with regards to that. They don't like when he blows past them, because, as I said before, and I've mentioned it about 10 times already, he's a really, really pacey player, and speed kills. Speed kills teams. And that's really, like, if you take nothing away from this, that's why I've mentioned it so many times. He's somebody that's fast. He's faster than probably every single player that you see there. Leon Bailey has a reputation for being really fast, but maybe injuries have taken their toll on him. This guy plays on the other side, plays more to the left-hand side. What that means for Jacob Ramsey, what that would mean for Morgan Rogers is something else for a conversation for another day. But the latent pace and attributes that this guy will bring is something that we don't have in the team as it is. A couple of weaknesses, I think, with regards to him is that he doesn't really, like, he's very much a hug the touchline, hug the sideline type player. Unai plays with those. He likes those types of players. He did that with Leon Bailey last year. And he did it with Marcus Rashford at times on the left-hand side this year. But I suppose one of the weaknesses from him, if you want to call it a weakness, because he's nowhere near a rounded player, as I say, he's learning his way in the game still currently, but doesn't really impact the penalty area. Gets dispossessed, as a lot of young players do. Gets dispossessed, tries to maybe sometimes overwork the ball because he's relying on his dribbling ability. But all these things are things that I think that you can coach out of players, specifically somebody that's so young and is so new to senior football. So I'm not too concerned about that. You're going to have to learn, take your licks at the big boy level, and I think that's really down to what I'm seeing on the in the footage that I've watched of him, is that sometimes when you've got a younger player coming up against an older experienced player, the experience wins out over the physical attribute in certain instances, and that's really what I've seen in that in that aspect. From a technical point of view, that is still developing. His crossing ability, his shooting, his finishing, all that stuff is still developing. But it's the same as every other 19-year-old outside of maybe 4 or 5 within world football at the moment. There are no massive fully finished articles at that level. Like, not everybody's Lamine Yamal, or not everybody is fully rounded at that age. So you would expect that. And they can get better. His technique is pretty good. It's just really about, a lot of the things I see with him is it's almost the game needs to slow down for him because he's playing it at such a high octane. The game needs to slow down for him, and that will happen once again with experience. Getting in around the penalty area, seeing people bear down on you. You need to develop that composure and that polish, I suppose, which once again comes with playing time. He's only played 1,800 minutes at senior La Liga football, so you would expect that there would be these edges that would need to be rounded off as well, which is something that that I'm sure absolutely can happen as well. So I'm not really going to go into much more about him. I want you guys to go and watch him because, as I say, I'm speaking to you really after watching 4 of this guy's games. He's got a small sample set in senior football, but I'm intrigued as to maybe why Villa might want to get in there on the ground floor with this guy. Like, he's valued at 10 million. I know a lot of people will probably be shouting at the screen here going, why do we need another left winger? We've got Morgan Rogers, we've got JJ. What happens there? We need a right winger and so on. Let all that work out. Villa will look at opportunity cost. And to get somebody with that skill set in here doesn't mean that you can't coach somebody up in another area. So taking this in a complete vacuum, provided that the price is right, there's been some mad prices thrown around for this guy. Maybe 40 million was one price. There was also a report whereby Villa have actually bid 25 million for him and are waiting on an answer. So we'll see what happens on this. Could be all paper talk. There could be something in it. But it's interesting, as I say, the interesting reason that I wanted to talk about this guy is the connection to the city of Seville, the connection that we have, that our brain trust has to the city of Seville, and also that he's a damn good player with an attribute that we lack throughout the course of this team, and something that I think Unai Emery would like. Imagine himself and Maatsen on that left-hand side. That's a pacey left-hand side. Imagine having the other side of Morgan Rogers, who's more of a longer striding player, and not an exceedingly quick player, but a really longer striding player. You have Morgan Rogers on the right-hand side, and I know people will say, don't play him on the right-hand side. I'm playing devil's advocate here, because we know Unai Emery does at times play him out there. Maybe you've got him there, and the quick Andres Garcia behind him. That injects pace into our defense, into our overlaps, should I say, and puts fear into defenses as well. So let me know what you guys think. Have a watch of him. Don't dismiss him out of hand. I think he's an exciting player. I'll be interested to see where his career goes to in the future, and if it is with Aston Villa, we will come back and we will talk a small bit more about him. So thanks so much, everybody, for your time again. We will be back over the weekend with more scouting series, and if you do enjoy these, please give it a like below. Please leave a little comment. Also, if you want to maybe follow us on our audio platforms, if audio is your way too, we're also on Spotify, Apple Podcast, anything like that, and you can leave us a 5-star review and maybe a little note in there as well, just to help the algorithm. And also, as I always say, if you think somebody out there that likes scouting, likes to learn about new players, likes Aston Villa and doesn't know about the podcast, word of mouth is a great spreader of of this as well, because we want to get everybody into the community here and everybody talking and sharing ideas and discussing and engaging with regards to these players, because some people might know more about them than I will, and the only way that they'll be able to find these and discuss them is if they know about it. So please, if you do think somebody will enjoy these podcasts, let them know. So that's going to do it for me for the moment. We will be back over the weekend. I hope you guys are having a very good off season. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.